Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again, and this is Stu's News, a review of American high-speed rail happenings over the last month. In this February 2025 episode, we'll take a look at what went down in January. Starting off with Brightline West and the biggest news of the month, the project has been delayed. The previous estimate was service before the 2028 Summer Olympics. The new estimate for opening is December 28, 2028. This news was reported by several publications, and the information was gleaned from a document related to an upcoming Brightline West bond offer. I have that document. I'm going to give you the quick news here, but I will put out a 2025 update video shortly to cover that in more detail. Keep your eyes out for it. Also revealed, the project budget has increased from $12 billion to $12.4 billion. Brightline West plans to cover that with a combination of bonds, grants, and equity contributions from parent companies. The $2.5 billion bond offering they're working on now will enable them to kick off construction in earnest. When? According to documents, that was scheduled to start last month, so they're late, but construction is imminent at this point. As of November last year, overall civil and station design was 50% complete, so they are close. However, the official quote for start is still early 2025. Another issue being reported is ticket price. Brightline is looking to charge an average of $133 one way by 2031. That is in 2031 dollars and regardless of service level. To give the situation a little more clarity, I compared that amount to the average in Florida and came up with this chart of likely ranges based on typical Brightline Florida Miami to Orlando tickets. These are in current year dollars for comparison, so they'll likely be about 15% more expensive by the time 2031 rolls around due to inflation. One last thing for now, we've been talking about Alstom's lawsuit against the Federal Railroad Administration regarding Buy America waivers for Siemens, which Brightline West chose for making their train sets. The bond documents indicate Alstom pursued a preliminary injunction against Brightline West receiving disbursements from the $3 billion federal grant they received in 2023. That injunction was denied. Also in the documents, Brightline West has indicated they will be going with the Siemens American Pioneer 220 train sets regardless of the outcome of Alstom's lawsuit, and that its only material effect would be delaying initial train sets, the first of which is currently expected for delivery by March of 2027. Final design review for those sets is expected in March of this year, 2025. As I said, there is plenty more to talk about in those documents, and I will cover that in a dedicated video soon. Sticking with Brightline, but moving on to Florida. Another solid month from Brightline, facilitating 264,000 trips in December of 2024. That helped Brightline close out the year with 2.763 million trips. That is partially thanks to the 5 new Siemens Venture carriages that were put into service in October. Brightline reports that they received 5 more of those carriages in December and that they entered service in January, so we'll have to see if ridership continues to expand. Those first 10 are part of an order of 30 that the company expects to receive from Siemens by mid-2025. Speaking of expanding ridership, the Palm Beach Post is reporting that Brightline is bringing back its commuter pass program. This was partially aided by a $33 million Federal Railroad Administration Restoration and Enhancement Grant that was awarded to Brightline last month. This helps cover the cost of the remaining 20 Siemens Venture carriages. Another federal grant awarded last month affecting Brightline is $5 million to the Space Coast Transportation Planning Commission for improving 7 level crossings along the Florida East Coast Railway corridor that Brightline uses in Brevard County. That was an FRA rail crossing elimination grant. That'll do it for Florida. Since we're talking about grants, let's see what's happening with the federal government. Of course, President Donald Trump assumed office for the second time on January 20th. Not long after, he issued an executive order attempting, among other things, to freeze approved Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act funding disbursement. On the surface, this appears to be contradictory to the Impoundment Control Act of 1974, which Congress passed to keep Richard Nixon from doing something similar. Several states' attorneys general sued in response. A U.S. District Court judge blocked the movement temporarily, and now we'll see what happens. I mention this because many federal railroad grants could be affected by this, including high-speed rail grants. The grants I've mentioned previously are examples, and certain percentages of older grants may be susceptible as well. The Brightline West bond offering docs indicate about 10% of its $3 billion FSP national grant has not yet been allocated. A similar amount could be true for California high-speed rail. In other federal news, Sean Duffy was confirmed as the new Secretary of Transportation. He didn't have any experience in the field, but hell, neither did the last guy, and the Lucid Stu channel considers itself a friend of P. Will Stu be a friend of Duffy as well? Only time will tell.
Who doesn't want to go to Las Vegas?
As always, I'm happy to say goodbye to the feds. Let us now move on to Texas and Dallas-Fort Worth high-speed transportation. The Fort Worth Report reports that the North Central Texas Council of Governments Transportation Council voted to set aside $1 million for a potential legal battle with Hunt Realty Investments. The two are at loggerheads over potential routing of the project that could ruin views from Hunt's planned development in downtown Dallas. The council is currently investigating an alternative routing that avoids Hunt property, but is also hanging on to the more contentious route just in case. Not much else happening there other than confirmation that changes to the environmentally approved Texas Central Railway Dallas station aren't in the cards, despite it being the root cause of DFWHST's Dallas woes. Nothing else in Texas at the moment. Let's check in with California high-speed rail. Various dignitaries, including our favorite governor, Gavin Newsom, met up in a field somewhere to give speeches and pretend that they were hammering stuff. The occasion, groundbreaking on the California high-speed rail construction package for Railhead. The purpose of the Railhead is to deliver supplies for installation of high-speed rail tracking systems in the CP4 area. Contrary to reporting, this does not constitute the first high-speed track laid. The track between BNSF and the Railhead allowing those deliveries will be conventional. However, it does mean high-speed rail track laying is on the horizon. At the same event, California High-Speed Rail CEO Ian Chowdhury agreed with me that California High-Speed Rail could weather 4 years of a Trump administration. However, he also asserted that there was no problem beyond that, which, let's just call that an optimistic view. During the most recent Board of Directors meeting, he indicated California high-speed rail track laying would begin in CP4 during the second quarter of 2026. That will be 6 months behind the previous schedule, but better late than later than laterer than never. On the federal grant front, there were 3 that are California high-speed rail applicable. The largest was an $89 million RCE grant to help construct California high-speed rail's interaction with the LeGrand and State Route 99 interchange. This would allow LeGrand Road to fly over California high-speed rail tracks in the future and provide better access to areas southwest of there. That is on the Merced extension portion of the initial operating segment. Santa Fe Springs received $2.64 million to plan and develop grade separation at a tricky spot where BNSF tracks cross Norwalk Boulevard and Los Nietos Road in rapid succession. This is an area where California high-speed rail plans to eventually run trains on shared right-of-way with BNSF between Anaheim and Los Angeles Union Station. That is also an RCE grant. Lastly, we have a Reconnecting Communities pilot program grant for $1 million to help plan the reconnection of Avenue Q in Palmdale, which is currently cut off by railroad tracks. This is within the footprint of the planned California high-speed rail Palmdale station, which is intended to fly over Avenue Q. In California politics, a couple of bills were introduced by Republicans in the state assembly to shift the approximately $1 billion that California high-speed rail receives from cap and trade toward firefighting and water storage in an attempt to capitalize on outrage over the recent destructive fires in the LA area. Given the huge supermajority Democrats enjoy in the state legislature and an almost assured veto by Gavin Newsom, those bills are mostly grandstanding. However, we may see more of this in the years to come as project struggles worsen under the Trump administration. That's it for politics. We have some Central Valley reports this month, so let's take a look. Keep in mind these run 2 months behind and are for November 2024. Capital Outlay Budget Summary, another lackluster month. $92.6 million expended, that's less than half what they need to be spending. Doesn't improve any next month, with the preliminary December numbers looking even worse. Design build expenditures awful at $43 million and breaking what appeared last month to be an uptrend. Now we're back to no trend. Daily average site workers down to 1,427, that's the lowest since last February, but not surprising as winter is a minor off-season for the project. Construction progress, no movement on the chart, but closer inspection of the data indicates one structure was completed in construction package 2-3. One source of worry is railroad real property acquisition, which is behind schedule. I only mention this because these acquisitions were delayed several months ago and they still haven't managed to close them. As I recall, these could cause problems in CP1, we'll see in the months ahead. Speaking of CP1, earned value chart. Not much change, slightly behind target, it's not looking bad. They have about 15 months to step it up before it starts running truly behind schedule. With that, we'll say bye to California High-Speed Rail and hello to Acela and the NEC. Gateway program authorities have indicated on social media that the Tunnelly Avenue Bridge construction in North Bergen, New Jersey has entered stage 2. Eventually, NEC tracks will cross under this bridge before entering the new Hudson River tunnels when coming from the west. Construction on the bridge is expected to be complete in 2025. The tunnels, 2035. Unfortunately, Amtrak ridership updates haven't been published this month. Looks like someone is asleep at the wheel over there during the administration changeover. A pretty light news month for the NEC, not much to report other than some weather cancellations. Maybe the news will rebound next month. That'll do it for Acela and the NEC. Now it's time for Stu's Boo Boos, where I go over everything I missed or got wrong last month. Apparently, the day after Christmas, the last northbound Northeast regional train of the day left Washington Union Station without any of its passengers. The train showed up, never opened the gates for the passengers to enter the platform, and then left without wondering why no one got on. This stranded 110 people overnight since it was the last train of the day. Riders did get a free upgrade to the first Acela of the next day. This started out as a Reddit post and somehow morphed into a real story. Normally I wouldn't cover something like this, but it's quite extraordinary. Credit goes to commenter Zazaben for pointing that one out. It was certainly newsworthy and good for a gold star. That brings the gold star total to 19. Silver stars for a boo-boo free month, just 5. As always, if you find a boo-boo in this presentation, let me know in the comments. If it's a good one, you win a prize. Hey, speaking of prizes, we had a contest in my community posts to see who could come closest to guessing how many views the Brightline West 2025 update video would have by January 30th. That was won by friend of the channel Network News UK with a guess of 137,000 views, which was off by a mere 5,000. Please check out Network News UK's channel for self-produced rail and transit news in the UK. I've checked it out myself, got some great videos over there, so spread some love. If you want to participate in contests like this and maybe get a shout out of your own, subscribe if you haven't already. Speaking of spreading the love, a big thanks goes out to the Stew Crew Discord channel for all of their input and help. If you'd like to join our motley crew, check out the invite in the description. And speaking of thanks, please be aware super thanks are available if you'd like to support the channel that way. Look for the button under the video. Plenty more videos to come. Up next is another Brightline West update video. A ton of new public information has dropped in the last couple of weeks in the form of a 1,200-page document. I'm going to package it up for you and make it a little more palatable. Expect that in about a week. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big, beautiful freeway.